Okay, so we're here. We're in Darwin. I just got off the bus. Now sometimes I take the bus all the way to Casuarina and get another bus in. But this is how I remember it. Early in the mornings, get off the bus, say here. It's this spot here, near Rapid Creek. We go over this bridge, as you can see there. Go over that bridge, cross the road, and we walk in. It's about a 20-minute walk, but it would get me there to school on time. I'd usually be there about just before 8 o'clock. School would start about 8:30. Want to cross this bridge here, up and over, and then we go from there all the way in to school. So, in essence, if I went all the way to Casuarina and then went back the other way, I had two options. I could catch the number 10 or I could catch the number 3. I'll show you where I will stop later for number 3, but sometimes I'd stop here for number 10 and walk back. Other times there's another stop a little further up this road where I'd stop and walk in. It's interesting those days, you could catch the bus and it felt pretty easy. Of course, in those days, the number 3 bus didn't have the extended loop that it does now, especially on weekends. It's one of the very few things that change. A lot of it feels so familiar, and a lot of it brings back the memories, but as you will see tonight, and there'll be some places I probably haven't been to all that often, but may jog the old memory, see if we can get access to. If we can't get access to it, well, I suppose it's a COVID thing. It's a bit of a thrill to be able to do this, almost on behalf of the family, so to speak. I mean, obviously my sister probably wouldn't have heard of this, let alone been able to do it with the kids and all the other sort of things that are happening back in the middle now. I was lucky enough to have the time off, so I was also very lucky that usually I'll be able to just returning from overseas. In fact, about now I'd probably be mid-transit heading from the west coast to east coast. So usually I've been in Perth on a Wednesday and then fly across back to the east coast to wherever. Usually with the Melbourne Troika. But that's then, this is now. So might be able to see in the distance. I might be able to zoom in if I can. Whoa, a bit dodgy there. Just in the distance there, there's a bus stop there that you get off and then you'd walk around the corner. Naturally, if I was on the number 3 bus, I'd be still turning in. But from here, I'm not sure how long it would take. They did say it used to be at 5:30. So it's now, what is the time? 5:17. So I've plenty of time. So yeah, you can see that bus stop. I'd walk around this corner, down this path, and down this road. And you'd follow it all the way down. I'd usually get to school, if I took this way, about 1:15. Usually I go there about 1:15. So yeah, down this little road. Hopefully no one's... So we'll go down here. Might do the loop. Yeah, if I made a mistake, I'd sometimes get off here and then I'd sometimes get off here. Never get off at this little stop here though. This is one of the small stops. So as you can see, the geckos changed a bit since I got here. Nice. So what would often happen, I'd get off at this stop here if I was catching the 3 in the morning. Of an afternoon, I'd actually walk up to the next stop, which is around the corner. I'm not going to show you that. And then what would usually happen, there'd be a gap in the fence and I'd be able to jump it, or there'd be a gap in the fence to walk through. Like there's a gate there that sometimes would be open, or I'd jump in the gap in the fence. And then I make the walk in that direction. There's still those 2 mini nets. Used to hang around, 1 and 2. Before we go in, I'm pretty thankful for this bit. See, right here used to be an obstacle course. Thankfully, they've removed it and put in a car parking lot. Because in the past, what would happen is, I was trying to work out the actual spot, not around that drop-off zone. No, because I think the road there existed. So I think it was around about round about in that general direction in there used to be a climbing frame, an A-frame. Climb over the top, and then you'd go down, and then the next guy came up, was a bit slow that one day. Next guy climbed over the top, bam, concussed, went home sick from school. Glad they took it down. So, 25 years ago, when the assembly was still here, and this hasn't changed a lot, it's still the same concrete block. But up there behind them, where the glass doors were, they were just sliding doors. It wasn't overly secure, but it looks a lot more secure now. Probably won't be able to get in there, but because I remember the first assembly I turned up to, I think it was a week or so after I first arrived. There was a stage behind there. Made a bit of a fool of myself, but what else can you expect? I had to just wander in as you see the glass doors. This was the side entrance. I'm not going to be lame enough to go in there. That storage shed's been like that for ages, and so is the toilet. And you'd often walk out here. We'll go into the more familiar hallway first. This was the side of the building I frequented because, as I said, I only attended here from March to September. They've changed the doors, thankfully now it's automatic doors, as you can see. We've got the early days here. I think this was a staff room in there. Yeah. It's in the science section. Yeah. So back in 1996, this area here, which was the kitchen garden, this is the kitchen garden. They used it for, at the time, the music area was a big deal. As you can see now, as you can see them. Hey, just relieved to be here for the first time in 25 years.
Oh wow, that must be my
Yeah, like 25 years ago, this used to be a TV, basically a TV room. It was a big deal to be able to get in here. As you can see now, it's all modernised with the modern screens up there. Used to have the TV set up in the corner with the video and everything, and you'd often go in here for some reason. One of the biggest memories I had of this room, last week of school I attended, watching Toy Story over there in the corner. I was sitting about there, and representatives from St John's came along and said, we'd like to do your prospective student interview now. As you can see, so that back wall, that was used to be a blackboard. But of course, at that time, the whiteboards I think it only just started to come in. So yeah, they know who's coming in now and who's coming out. It's a lot different to what it was. I think I remember in '96 we had some sort of core skills test in this room, which only grades 5 and 7, I think grade 6s were exempt, and we had 7s in there. That wall divider was still there. There used to be one big classroom, and now of course they're able to use that divider. They can divide into 2 smaller rooms rather than one bigger room, and use it for other things. So often it would be hard. We'd try and squeeze everyone in here. That was just a blank area. We'd try and squeeze everyone. It would be hard for people to sit from here and just assume that was out of the way, that detachable was detached. You'd be trying to see what's, say, on the board over there, all the way up there at the other end. You could just imagine what it was like in the back corner, and of course the over in the back corner where I wrote the embarrassing slogan on my shirt. It seems so much smaller. It seems so much bigger, but it seems so much different. I'm actually pretty sure that door was there. Yeah. So, to give you a bit of a perspective, about here was where I usually sat. So that was my view of the board. I was sitting down in the corner. Still, I was able to reach. Those shelves have been there since '96, and I reckon I was picking up that paint in 1996 still. The cupboard's been there. Not a lot has changed, but a lot has changed in so many ways. The desks, you can see, are very different. No more constructing desks, which is unbelievable. used to have their own desks, but I had to construct my own desk out in the hall, which was just ridiculous. That has not changed much. Teaching in that corner, his desk was there, computers in that corner. So this is now a 3-4 room, this is 6-7 room when I was, of course 6-7 was something different. House points in the corner, that board's there. It hasn't changed much, has it? But next door, we'll go in next door because this is my classroom. I think the sister was here for 1997. We head in next door. Well, we used to hang, when we used to be open slather, now they've got their own hooks, which is a good thing. But yeah, in here was my sister's room. Now it's the alignment's a bit different now to what it was from my sister. So before we go on, I think this area here, it certainly wasn't like this back in '96. Certainly that sand pit wasn't there. Back in this area in '96, they were just constructing some sort of paving system, so it was a grass paved path. Now it's a lot safer, of course. In fact, if I look on the outside in, one of these rooms used to be an art room. That engine room used to be an art room. So you used to do art in there all the time. But yeah, they built some paving and then they built over it again. I suppose it's progress. Actually, no, that's where the art room was, in the science club. So we go back and move later, maybe. Bubble has been the same as ever, but around this side was the canteen entrance. Been inside there once, it's not a lot to look at, but line up here, I didn't often go in there. So I wander along these paths and see if I can find me. I don't think I will, but we'll see what happens. 2011, so that was the 40th anniversary in 2011, so this side of the room I never really got into because, as I said, being only here in that year in '96. But there will be a few familiar faces in the photos, so hopefully they won't notice me. Time for embarrassing photos.
Which one's you?
Which one's me? That's me in the back corner, that's embarrassing.
My kids came here then. Chris Bagley?
No, that's my sister there.
Yeah, well, one of mine.
So you might be in there somewhere.
There's Chris.
Oh goodness.
So who's that?
That's my sister Emma.
Emma who?
Jeffrey, now known as Umber because she's married.
Ah, yeah, that's Chris.
Yeah.
That's me.
Alright, I might embarrass my sister again, but she was around long enough in 1997 to be here for a class photo day. She was also around here long enough for sports day. Now, there's something in this that was a bit embarrassing. Now, I had this event the previous year as well. For some reason, I made put myself in for some reason, and it wasn't good for our house. One had a shoe go further in the cart, and I couldn't get the cart off the ground. So it wasn't exactly a good day. So yeah, I also mentioned about paving. So this is a story about that. That's where it used to be. There's this green space and changing into a construction zone. They made some sort of carving there, painted the wall there, and may even move it later. They were working on tiles and eventually they finished it. It's such a big area. Right, so behind the office area, down the hallway there used to be where the first aid was. I think I visited there twice. Now it's something outside of office space, which is a good thing. You can see the first aid room's down there. I used to like this place. Yeah, this is probably as big as I remember it. This is as big as I remember it, but some days it's smaller. I remember it. Whilst the desk was still there, for some reason in this area over here, they've now covered it up, but they used to have two Macs. They had two Macs in this corner, and it was like, oh my god. At the time, they had problems with the O button. So they had two Macs, and they had problems with the O button, so every time we'd have to go have to type in 0 instead of O.
I went to Milner too for the first.
And then we have to find and replace, which was confusing. But so now they've unbelievably changed. It's like, so now they're able to use all this, which is just unbelievable. Again, this was what it seemed so much bigger than what it was as a kid. Now it seems so much smaller. But it seemed like there was rows of books, and then in that corner there, tables and chairs, and we try and learn a language. We try and learn German, as it were, then. So it wasn't a big area, but we'd all be in here and we'll try and cram it along here. One of those something squeeze through in, and you have to look up there. It seems a lot bigger there. Now it seems so small. So how on earth could we squeeze so many people in? Now, Senior Constable Peter Stiles, later was the adopter cop. Come in occasionally. Taught me the taxes are a certainty. Because I suggested there were two things that were certainties in life, and one is you'll die. I suggested you'll die. How good was I go? So, yay me. But yeah. And no, this is not a typo. That actually was the house shirt for Aussies, as they used to call them, obviously. And yes, that is a very bad drawing of Aussie ostrich. Fortunately, redbacks and jaguars at the same time had a little more conservative designs. And that was the school shirt at the time, which intriguingly I never wore. Probably should have, but I never wore one. And as for this, I think it's a basketball singlet. I'm not sure if it's a basketball singlet or a footy jumper, but we'll have to squeeze into one of those things. I think it's a basketball singlet. Yeah, so even though I was on the other side of the classroom, I'd often just stare into this space. This space, again, is so much different to what it was. It was basically just grass and stuff. But as I said, you could actually go out those doors. Although they were always locked. Oh, hello. You go out the back, because this is where we'd line up. They used to have a couple of palm trees there, but obviously it's changed a lot since then. It's changed a fair bit. Those goalposts weren't there. They were more portables over there. So we used to enter through those doors there. Obviously now they've been blocked off. This is where. So yeah, quite often, yeah, there would also be trees along this area rather than in there. Yes, there was a garden there. Sometimes balls went up on that roof. The basketball court's been there all the time. Hasn't really always covered up, but it's been there for all the time. That area down there used to be rainforest. Now it's just a big tree and his shade area opened up. That sand pit was there. There used to be a flying fox of sorts. Those drink bubbles are still there from then. Those posts, see those goal posts there, used to be over there somewhere. Just in that direction over there. That tree, those trees and tables have been there all along. The bigger changes have happened outdoors rather than indoors, which has been interesting. I mean, yes, there have been some changes indoors, but outdoors, it's almost unrecognisable. I say almost. There are places I do recognise. I mean, there are areas I do recognise, but some areas I certainly don't. Okay, so at the end of the day, what would normally happen, I'd come out of here, and what would normally happen, come out of these exits, which at the time, of course, weren't automatic. You'd walk down this path. Now, sometimes I'll go out the back door and head that way, but usually it's down this path that we're on now. And the fence at the time was a lot lower. You wandered past the basketball courts and up around the outside of the oval, and there was a bus stop somewhere on the outside of the oval. On the basketball court. So usually you keep following that path around that oval, and then in there would be a bus stop up there. Actually, better do this before the sun goes down, because as you can see, the sun's still up at 6:30. Something I'll never get used to. Sports Day 1996 was an interesting setup. They had like a 200 metre track. They had a 200 metre lap track around this area here, but they'd also have 100 metres straight from there all the way down. If I recall correctly, the start area was about there. Now I wasn't a 100-metre sprinter. I'm still not a 100-metre sprinter. And there's a tree, and I think one of these trees we also saw a bottle rocket up on Science Day. One of the lanes, I believe, had this obstacle in it. So it was like, just imagine you're lining up for the race. You know, it's not a track start. So like you're staggering up, and you look up, and there's a tree, and you go, and you hear, I think it was either a gun or a whistle, and go beep, and then you're starting to sprint out. And the guy next to you, trying to keep up with the guy next to you. Oh, hang on, there's a tree there. Just got to do a little bit to the left. Be careful, don't trip over the roots. And then sprint on. The milk carton is somewhere around there. And for some reason, they also had, I'm trying to remember, there was some field event there. We held some field events beforehand. There was a field event held around here somewhere. I'm not sure if it was either discus or shot put or both, one of the two. I was never a discus guy, I was never a throwing guy. As you can see, the throwing guy got spaghetti arms. For some reason my sister somehow made the team. I'm not sure if it was shot or discus, can't remember. But I think I got into a fight with someone about there, but we won't talk about that. Yeah, and behind me too, somewhere behind me, just maybe I can't get out of the way, there's a caretaker shed. So there's always been a caretaker here. Can't remember who they are or what they're doing, but I'm sure they're making sure everything's peaceful. So that's that. That's just a brief look around. Place where I graduated from primary school 25 years ago. I did mention in the book, you know, maybe I could be here for the 100th, but then I'd be an old decrepit old bastard unless I was still alive. So I don't know if I may have said it in jest.